Okay, it's going to be a little bit of a different video here. We're going to be talking about using AI to help out with your coding. In the past, I've used tools like ChatGPT or Gemini to help me program, and I found they were quite good with a couple caveats. One big one is that you kind of have to tell it how you want it to program things, like what your expectations and what your standards are, as well as you have to give it a really narrowly defined problem. I found it was good for like small things that are maybe a little tricky to figure out, but like really small, narrowly defined problem. I found that if you had it write entire scripts, it would sometimes be problematic. But if you kept it down at maybe just the method level, it would work quite well. So the tool we're going to talk about today is OpenAI's Codex. I've been using this for a couple of days, and I've found that it's actually significantly better than just using ChatGPT for coding. So if you want to try out Codex, it's fairly easy to find here. You just go to openai.com/codex, or you could search it in Google and you should be able to find it. And then you can just do download for Windows. I will note that I am on the most basic paid tier of OpenAI or ChatGPT. I think it's like the $30 a month type of thing. I'm guessing this would work with the free tier, but I couldn't tell you for sure. And I logged in, linked up my account and all of that because I am a monthly subscriber with OpenAI. So that's the first most basic part of this, just installing Codex. I found this part of the process extremely simple. Like just getting it installed is a piece of cake. You shouldn't have any issues at all. Once Codex is installed, it just works. It's the default installation is almost identical to ChatGPT. The one thing that I found that's kind of handy is I get the feeling you have a little bit more in terms of model selection here. Can't say for sure, but I don't remember there being like this setting to allow you to adjust the reasoning strength and things like that in just sort of the vanilla ChatGPT. So getting Codex set up for Unity is a little bit different. One thing you'll notice down here, it says Super 3D Shooter VR 16. This is basically pointing Codex at your project folder. If you want to do this for a different project, you would pick this, use an existing folder, and then you basically just find the root of your project, and that will give Codex access to it. I will give the warnings right now. By default, Codex has basically full permissions. So if you start asking it for things, it's just going to jump in and start modifying scripts in your project. It will give you the option to approve or not approve the changes, but like it goes in and it starts doing stuff unless you modify your permissions. So I'll switch over here. This is a chat I was previously having with Codex. Built a few features yesterday. Worked very, very well in my opinion. And yeah, so this is like kind of the setup that I'm using right now. The next big thing that's really important is to set up an agents.md file. If you're not sure how to do this, just tell it that you want to set up some rules with it. We'll actually make a small tweak to my agents.md right away. But for now, this is sort of how mine's looking. I am somewhat particular about my code and how I like things to be. I think that's pretty standard for a programmer. One thing I'll note is like I'm big on performance, especially since we're targeting VR. So things like don't call get component during runtime, especially don't do it in a hot path. They're calling it like the update function. I definitely would prefer not to see get component in the update function. I think I have similar rules for here, like do not call instantiate during runtime. That will cause some small CPU spikes, and I'm trying to make a game that runs really smoothly. So, and I've been successful in doing that while using this Codex tool, and with complemented by a bit of traditional manual programming. So while we're on the subject of agents.md, there is one thing that bothers me a little bit. I'm going to ask, could you please update agents.md to indicate that I would like to see fewer ternaries in the output. I prefer standard if else style conditional logic. That's again just a personal preference. I find that a lot of these large language models prefer to use ternaries, which basically do the same thing as conditional logic, but I find the syntax, to be frank, I find it a bit more confusing to think about. I've been using if-else, like just standard conditional logic, for about 25 years. That's what I was kind of taught in high school and university. Nothing wrong with ternaries, but I find I have to think harder. And here it is. Here's my change. Prefer standard if-else conditional logic over ternary expressions, especially in gameplay scripts. So it went ahead and did that. That is good. So that's a little bit on that. And this is the thing, like, you have the option to undo it, but it's already made that change. If you don't like that, you could probably maybe tweak the permissions so that it doesn't change project files immediately, but I'm just sticking with the default for now because I'm kind of new to this. An additional note, when I was first starting out with Codex, it was sort of having trouble understanding exactly what I want. So a thing that I did, because it can see the root, because it can see the root of my project, I wanted to give it reference to a lot of scripts that I've written in the past so that it sort of knows and can learn my programming style. And it seemed to think that was a good idea. So I set up this folder at the root of my project folder. So we're in Super 3D Shooter VR16. And there's reference scripts. This is from the last game I did, Superstar Shooter 16. And like a lot of the C# that I've done by hand, I just put into here. And then it reviewed that, and it actually generated a big part of my agents.md just based off of that. We'll look in here if it made the change. Here we go. Prefer standard if-else conditional logic. So you see it went ahead already and made that comment about how I kind of dislike ternaries as a personal thing. I'm fine with other people using them if that's what they like. So we're going to build a feature right here in real time. I'll just start by explaining sort of what I'm going to try and do. My latest round of updates, I've set up, I see how the target flashes white when I shoot it, and then eventually it gets destroyed. We spawn a particle system. What I want to do is have the target flash white if it has more than 50% health. I want the target to flash yellow if it's between 20 and 50% health, and I want the target to flash red if it's less than 20% health. So I'm going to say, could you please modify the color flash script? I would like the enemy to flash white if it has more than 50% of its health. Would like it to flash yellow if it has between 20 and 50% of its health. The enemy to flash red if it has less than 20% of its health. Period. We'll crank up the reasoning a little bit here. I suspect it's going to have to modify multiple scripts to do this. So we'll just give it a little bit more time to think, and we'll see how this turns out. This is a relatively simple change, so I think it should do fine with this. Okay, so it's saying that it's completed. I can preview the scripts that have been changed if I want to. I am a little surprised that the enemy health, there's so much more here, but I guess it's written out some big if-else statements. Yeah, and it's generalized. Instead of flash white, we have flash hit color. And then, yeah, it's just a lot of conditional logic, so that explains why there's so many extra lines of code. Flash white, we're exactly where we are before because it's taken out 15 lines of code and added in 15, so I'm probably comfortable with that. Let's go ahead and try it. We may have an issue compiling. That sometimes happens. But let's see how this goes. Okay, can we play it? Oh, it's flashing yellow. The red flash is a little harder to see. There was a red flash. Okay, so it worked. I'm going to end the video here, and we'll move over to some promos if I can squeeze them in. Okay, just a couple things I'd like to promote before we dive into the trailers for my other games. First one is You Are Elias Nova. This is a 2-track mini album released by Tony Longworth. This was created as part of the most recent expansion for Superstar Shooter 16. Feel free to check it out on Bandcamp. Additionally, we've got the Super 3D Maze 16 Collector's Edition. This is a digital and physical release. I've got my copy right here. That was released as part of Super 3D Maze 16, which is another game that I worked on.
Oh no, my firewalls are breached. He is inside. He is inside and he sees me. Last system rebooting.
So, what you're saying is...
That's right, Elias. You get to fly right down its gullet.
Oh, yippee. I'm not seeing as many wrecked fighters.
No, most perished in the first section of the planet's throat.
Uh-oh, looks like someone's in trouble with the missus.
Mm-hmm.
Are you looking for an easy way out?
Yes.
Then go ahead and dig deep into that laundry basket.
Why?
Because everyone knows that at the bottom of every clean laundry basket is a magical portal to cyberspace.
Really?
Of course, I'm a disembodied voice. Why wouldn't you trust me?
Well, okay.
That boy, you get in there. Welcome to Super 3D Maze 16. Embark on a journey through a mysterious cybernetic maze as you unravel the story of Captain Elias Nova. Look out for enemies and obstacles that are certain to stop you on your journey. Use UFOs to guide your path and find colored keys to unlock different pathways and puzzles. The ever-winding mazes, mysterious entities, lasers, and UFOs are abound. Answer many questions like, who is he? What is this place? And why is this guy such a lutz? Super 3D Maze 16. Better than being this guy.